Alright, wanted to do a quick introductory video to your social studies work and just briefly go over these read work packets. You have most likely used them before. They're set up so that way you'll have 3 each week for the first 2 weeks, so 6 in total. As explained in that one document that shows you the plans for this, you're going to have 3 in the first week along with a health lesson and a media lesson, so that way that's 5 lessons in 1 week, and then the same thing the next week. So just jumping right into it, the first 3 lessons are going to be the Constitution tells the states who has the right to vote, Mapping the West, The Journey of Lewis and Clark, and then Sacagawea. So these two are more linked than this one, but I think this is a great overview of the U.S. as a federal republic and what that means. It's very important. This is a national general election year, so there's going to be a lot of decisions being made by the voting electorate in the U.S. Very important discussions and topics, but it's going to give you an idea a little bit more about who can vote. So again, you'll read this and then dig into it. There's a little bit more on the back as well, but then there are questions, okay? And it's pretty straightforward. The questions are all based in the text. You really don't need to have any prerequisite knowledge. You shouldn't be Googling the answers to these questions. That won't be necessary. But there are 3 for each one's usually 8, 9, and 10. 3 written responses. Now on some of the pages, the way they printed, there's space provided for you. In some of them there aren't, but one of the things that I've done is actually create an assignment for each one of these. So tomorrow, something like a minute after midnight on Tuesday, you will see that and a Google assignment in Classroom pops up for the Constitution tells the states who has the right to vote. And in that will be a link to ReadWorks, which you can access through a classroom I set up with them. You'll basically enter your Google information, and which is your Saddlebrook username and password. And when it lets you in, you'll have the opportunity, it will read this to you, and you can actually answer the questions online. Now, a word about that, I would prefer that you answer these in the ReadWorks documents, so any of the multiple choice ones, but any of the written questions I would really appreciate if you answered in the Google Doc that I've provided for you. So you'll see that there's a shared Google Doc and it says please answer these questions for 8, 9, and 10, and they're all titled appropriately. Every day one will happen, so on Wednesday morning the same thing, you'll get Mapping the West, The Journey of Lewis and Clark. This is something we spent a good amount talking about when we were dealing with Jefferson, but anyway, you'll open this up. Again, 7 questions, and then 1, 2, 3, let me just show you a little bit here. Then you'll have 1, 2, 3 written responses. Now you can see the lines are provided here. That is if you cannot access Google Classroom. If you can access Google Classroom, and hopefully you can because you'll be watching this, I would really prefer you to do the written responses in the doc that I provided for you. Alright, and then you'll finish up this week's social studies with a little bit on Sacagawea, very important figure. Lewis and Clark most likely would not have made it. Very strong woman in history, so definitely give her your due diligence in reading. And you'll see this one's a little bit longer, but again, I think there's a step read involved in this, so if this text is a little bit heavy, you can actually click down. You'll learn to mess around with that under ReadWorks. But same thing, 7 questions, and then 3 that you're going to use writing for. Do not be afraid to extend beyond these lines if you are writing on the page, but again, I'll say this a million times, please, if you would prefer, I would prefer, if you could, to write in the Google Doc that I've provided for you. And then it will be the same thing for next week, so I really won't need to upload another video unless you guys have a lot of questions and I find that there's something I didn't address. 3 questions next week, a lot dealing with U.S. presidents in between the founding of our country, that early founding period, and then the Civil War. So we have U.S. presidents Andrew Jackson, and then we're going to be dealing with William Henry Harrison and John Tyler, 2 presidents who are linked because, well, as you'll find out, William Henry Harrison didn't make it that long. So we will learn a little bit more about him and John Tyler. And then an interesting topic, slavery in the North, and you might recognize Sojourner Truth here. But when you get to this article, and again, this is day 6, so you won't really be doing this until Thursday of next week. That's going to be something along the lines of March 26th. So you'll realize that there was in fact slavery in the North of the United States, and this is a really nuanced article that allows you to dig into it. I did provide some vocabulary with this one, but same thing, questions and then written responses. So please stay on Google Classroom. You'll notice that those pop up pretty frequently, and I'll be coming back with more videos. Thanks, guys.